Yeah, a Christian business podcast. We are still a podcast.
We are.
We still
We just
record.
happen to have other things going on in life that actually pay the bills.
Exactly. Maybe we should put a donate button. Huh?
Hey.
Yeah, if you're annoyed that it took us 6 months to get back to podcasting, well, hey, put your money where your wants are and
Anything else.
exactly, right? Because Justin and I would love, and Forrest would love to just stop doing what we do and just
I don't
make
know
money
about that.
podcasting.
Maybe it would be super fun. I would do it in addition to what I currently do.
Right. You would change things though. Like if you won the lottery tomorrow.
If I played the lottery.
If you played the lottery. But let's say, you found out that Nigerian prince really was true and wanted to send you that money. Like you would still do what you would do, but you would do it differently.
Well, I wouldn't have to get paid for it. It's a big difference.
Exactly. So, yeah, if you want to, tell all your friends and support the podcast, and then we'd record probably an episode a day. If you maybe that's
That'd be
a little
cool.
intense.
That is intense. I don't know if
I don't know if I get
commit
enough
to
content for that.
Yeah. We're not that interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but both of us being in the construction industry, summertime is not the most ideal time to podcast. Maybe we
Really,
should
at this point, I'm not sure what is an ideal time.
It's true. It's true because it's like October, November is like, oh, I have to get it done before the summer, and then December's like, shoot, we have all this work we have to get done before the snow flies. Crap, it snowed yesterday. And
now we got to do all of our interior projects.
Right. And we got a plan for next year.
Yeah, you're a little bit more weather dependent than I am.
A little bit more because all it is exteriors.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can side more than you can roof, but even still, like people have this misconception. We just put out a video on Facebook the other day. Just a reminder, like Owens Corning and Certainty, they have no minimum temperature for install. Like I can install at -20. But getting guys to install a roof at -20 is another question.
I don't want to be on a roof. I mean, it's better. Maybe it's better than when it's 100 degrees outside. But
yeah, my rep was like, well, Aaron, let's put it this way: your guy's minimum temperature is is higher than our minimum temperature for install. He's like, you just can't stack them on the ridge. I was like, okay, we can do that. So clients are like, yeah, I gave you a down payment, like a week ago, but it's super cold, so maybe just send it back and we'll do it in the spring. I'm like, I can do that, but there's no reason. I can still offer you the full factory warranty. It's like, what do you really want that roof to wait another winter in Michigan? Okay. So, and he said, oh, okay, fine.
Go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it. Just maybe wait till it's above 30. Okay. So, yeah.
It's not going to get there today.
Nope.
Or tomorrow.
Thursday though. Thursday's looking good. So,
good.
We'll do his roof on Thursday.
Nice.
Yes. So are you mid project on like 17 different projects?
Actually, only 3 projects were mid project, and we've got a ton on deck. We're just waiting for doors, windows, and cabinets.
So how many active customers do you have? Like everywhere from they just called to ask for a quote to they haven't sent their final invoice yet, or their final invoice payment yet. 20, 30, 40?
I would say there's 12 on the board right now, plus a couple up there, plus a bunch we haven't even put on yet because we're still working through their proposals and that phase of it. So there's probably 25.
That's not bad.
Yeah, okay. They're not like simple, like
I've got like 58.
Okay, yeah, yours are like, all right, we're gonna do some roofing here, and we're gonna do some siding, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna tear the whole roof off this house and add a second story. Well, by the way, it can't rain for 2 weeks while we're framing it all.
so my wife will ask me, hey, did you talk to so and so about such and such? And I'm like, they're not on my list. Like my niece, okay, so like she plays piano, and like because I had access to, like for church stuff, I had access to sheet music. Mm-hmm. And so I would, throw her some every once in a while. She was working just kind of, and so she messaged my wife and was like, hey, can you have Uncle Aaron send me some more music? And so I saw her at Thanksgiving and she's like, hey, where's my music? I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, my wife's like, what is so difficult? And so I opened up my to-do list and each customer has a card But that was the wrong thing to do because she goes, my niece goes, my name's not even on that list. I'm like, well, what do you say to that? Like, you don't pay? I was, what do I say to that? But like, yeah, like
Actually, try that. But Forrest, you have to videotape when that happens.
like 58 relationships I'm trying to manage, and now like there's a
Okay, time out. Just think about that for a second. We have technology. We have all these cards. You know, like you have yours. Like that's way more in depth than anything I do. Like all mine's on my software.
right.
Can you imagine being like Solomon back in the day? And like actual relationships of these wives that you have. You're like, all right, this one.
700.
What is she? Okay, I don't remember.
See,
what did we talk about last
But
time?
let's be realistic. Okay, he wasn't concerned necessarily about the relationships.
No, I don't know.
There was
No, he was, but it was what? More or less like what did that union provide him, you know, as far as like widening
the
his
more
horizon
the more
in the world.
like the more prominent ones like okay, Egypt or nation, like those types of relationships, but 700 concubines
Out of his mind.
Okay, so you cannot tell me that there were 700 political female-male relationships.
No.
They were not.
No.
And so he's not maintaining 700 relationships.
No.
He has...
It's not possible.
It's not. Well, and frankly, I don't even know that it's possible to maintain 700 physical relationships. I mean, I hate to make humor out of something vulgar, but the fact of the matter, I didn't even know that that's possible.
Oh my gosh.
So here we are trying to maintain. Here I'm trying to maintain 50 relationships, and praise God that it's a situation where if Forrest pulled up with a list right now and like mentioned a name, like I could pretty well tell you exactly where we are on that situation.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But the problem is that I can't necessarily do anything about that particular relationship. So especially,
See, that's one thing that I do like about what we do, like when we're doing our remodels and our new builds, is that for better or for worse, you're having a relationship with these people.
Oh yeah.
And
you're in their house,
Yep. In their lives, you end up getting invited out to dinner with them. And that is cool. Like it can be cool. I can't say it's cool all the time. There's sometimes you're like, man, this project cannot end fast enough. We haven't had one of those in a long time.
I've got one that, yeah.
Forced to shake his head.
Forrest is like, Aaron, you've got 7 right now.
I don't have enough fingers.
Forrest ran out of fingers here.
Forrest does have 10 fingers, just so everybody knows, not 7.
But yeah, well, and that was something we were talking about last week was, what causes the problems, and when your name's on something, but you don't necessarily have 100% control over everything.
Yep. That's the hard part.
And so now, and I figured it out last week, it was the subcontracting piece, because like we subcontract all of our work. Like I haven't picked up a hammer on a job in a couple of years.
It's good for your clients.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, I do not take that as an insult. I don't take that as an insult. So because I'm good at what I am doing,
yes.
And I think that's why this past couple of years has been so much more successful than
and
previous.
Fun
and fun-ish.
Oh,
fun-ish. Well, we picked up siding and we said, all right, we're going to invest in this. Well, we are investing in it.
Oh, and some tuition?
Some tuition payments. So yeah, but again, part of that problem is that I don't have control over the everyday stuff. With subcontractors, you can't. Like that's part of the legal
that's part of it.
situation. And so, you have this customer that's like, well, where are your guys? And I'm like,
great question.
Great question. Like, how do you not know where your employees are? Well,
not really the employees.
They're not employees. Wait a minute. You're having somebody. Why don't I just go to them? Well, because so now you have to get into the whole conversation, which is totally fine. It's like not like I'm hiding it, but in my sales pitch, I'm not like, hey, and we subcontract your work. It's like, so, the guys all have unbranded trucks and that kind of thing. And they're really great. And a couple of guys, like Kevin, right? Like a large part of where I am today, financially and business wise, is because of Kevin. Mm-hmm. So Kevin it's almost like we're business partners. Yeah. But the paperwork is separate. Mm-hmm. If anything ever went south, there's no money owed, there's no valuation, there's no nothing. It's just the relationship. And he does his last job, I send him the last invoice, and we walk away. Yeah. It's clean. But Kevin doesn't want to work for anybody else because of the relationship we have. Yeah. So, but also if Kevin, like, let's say you called Kevin and we're like, hey, Kevin, I want you to come to this roof for me. Well, Kevin's going to charge you about what I charge you. Yeah. Maybe a little bit less, but good luck getting an estimate or an invoice, or good luck getting a phone call returned, or, keeping stuff straight, or, because that's not what Kevin's good at. Mm-hmm. Kevin's not good at answering his phone, but I am.
But that's the thing, I think, with subcontractors is that they, especially when they're working for builders or a roofing company, a siding company, mm-hmm. they don't necessarily want to deal with the client. They just want to do their craft. That's it. That's all they want to do. Right. They don't want to do anything else. Right. Like a couple of the guys that we use, they're like, just keep us busy and we're fine.
We will show up. We will show up with tools and insurance, and
we'll do a great job.
Work. We don't want to talk to anybody.
Yep. You just keep working in front of us.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
It is, and that's where Kevin's at. And Kevin is not good in sales, and I am. So it's the perfect. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay the same whether you pay Kevin or you pay me. You're just going to get a lot better experience when you pay me. I was talking to a buddy about this morning. He's kind of a one-man show. He's a builder. Mm-hmm. And, we were talking about subcontracted work and how the guy dealing with you is not the guy doing the job, and how that can cause issues, quality and whatnot. Yeah. Sometimes it can. But we talked about the fact that, okay, that's true. But because I have crews I sub out to, the business can be bigger than just me. Mm-hmm. And so now there's a name and a reputation that you're attached to. I said, for you as the one guy, there's a lot of one guys out there that you can't trust, and nobody knows that. Yeah. A bigger company can carry some trust with it. Yep, I may have some quality issues, but they're going to get fixed. Mm-hmm. Because if Joe Schmo goes out and hires Kevin, and Kevin screws up or doesn't do things right or whatever, that's it. They're out. Mm-hmm. If somebody hires me and Kevin screws up, I become a buffer for them. I become almost like an insurance policy. I'm almost like the bonding. Yeah. Right. Oh, 100%. Like we went to MDOT. We finally got a permit for our new property out there in Fremont, and MDOT required that we had a bond for doing the road work, mm-hmm. so that if the contractor flakes, and MDOT has to come in and do it, there's money there to cover it. That's what that performance bond will take care of. Well, I'm like the performance bond for every homeowner. If the worker flops or checks out or screws up or whatever, I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna get another person in there. I'm gonna come in there and do it myself. Yeah. There's some kind of protection for the homeowner. We just ran into this situation on a siding job, and the sub crew was bad. They were just bad, and I'll probably take a hit on this job, but the job's gonna get done right. Like we're probably gonna tear off a few square of siding and probably 60% of the fascia off the house and redo it. Oh boy. And I'm going to try and get the subcontractor to pay for it, but the homeowner doesn't have any problem. The only difficulty for the homeowner is that we're on site longer. Yep. But had that homeowner just hired that sub to do the work, and the sub did that, the homeowner would be screwed right now. Yep. Because the sub doesn't have the financial management to be able to have that money in the back to replace those materials. The sub doesn't have the, the wherewithal or the name out there that they're worried about, the name on the side of their truck to worry about, etc. So yes, it's not the 100% positive experience, but at the end of the day, their job is going to be done right, and they're going to pay the same the same price as that sub may have charged had they done it for them. Now the sub, because they don't have all those extra things like I have, they charge me less, and I just make up the difference. But I think because I have less control, I think that's where my stress comes from, is when I mean,
in the grand scheme of things, though, that's a pretty minor stress. Whereas like, okay, so we've got 6-7 guys in the field now for overbuilt. Mm-hmm. When those guys make mistakes, and everybody does, mm-hmm. and our guys are young, ambitious, extremely teachable, mm-hmm. and so they do make mistakes. And sometimes I want them to make a mistake. I know that is a financial burden that I am going to have to bear 100%. Mm-hmm. Whereas like if our subs mess up, like our drywall guy, if he had one guy come in, it was a new guy he was using on a remodel job. His tape wasn't adhering on all his patches. So they started peeling apart. Mm-hmm. Well, that's like, hey, you got to go take care of this if you want to get paid. Well, I was like, nope, it has to be done, or I'll find someone else to do it, and you still don't get paid. So you decide how you want to handle this. That's a way easier stressor than like going through and like, all right, guys, we didn't follow the directions. We didn't glue all of our trim up before we put it up. The corners didn't get pinned together. So now we got to go back through. We got to pull stuff apart. And we got to do it the right way. Now, I know after this first time of doing it, the incident of that happening again is going to be very slim.
Right.
But I love the flexibility of knowing I have guys in-house so we can move faster. Because then it's like, hey, I need you to jump over here because these came in, or mm-hmm. this cabinet mm-hmm. came in and we need to put it in right now. Right. Whereas the subcontractor, I don't have that control.
Exactly.
And with the remodel stuff, it's about speed and staying on schedule.
I think it would help for me to have an in-house guy.
Oh, like a service guy?
Yeah, just one guy. Problem is, anybody who is good enough to do that wants to be on their own.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, if a guy can go chase down a leak and kind of find out, if he's smart enough to chase down a leak, then he's smart enough to make more money than I can pay him hourly.
Yeah.
And so you have to find somebody that, you got to find the right guy. And it, I guess, takes prayer, right?
Well, and that's even too, it's like the guys that work for us, like they're very good. My job, what I want to get them to is the point to where if they want to go off on their own, I want to give them all the tools to be able to do that. But then I also wanted them to be able to still work for us because they've worked under overbuilt and understand where our values are and where we need to see our quality. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have to question that.
Right.
I think a couple guys will end up doing it, but I mean, some of the guys are, brand new. We got one kid right out of high school. He's been staining siding for the last 4 weeks.
Right.
Poor
kid.
It,
right?
He's like, what am I doing today? I was like, well, let me guess. Staining siding. I was like, you got it, man. Only a couple more weeks.
But I think the other part that I appreciate about subcontractors in terms of like philosophy of work and philosophy of business, like Kevin, right? I want to see him grow and succeed. I want to see his company grow, and that's part of, we talked a few episodes back about genuinely being interested in the success of the other person, mm-hmm. even if it costs you.
Yep.
And so Kevin's got a guy right now that's been starting to like stretch out and like start to bid some jobs and stuff for other people. And like, he's got a Facebook page going now. And somebody was like, well, does like, he's being what does that not bother you? And I'm like, well, yes, but no. Like his guy was like, hey, I'm looking at this house. Do you have like that satellite measuring stuff? I'm like, yeah, man. Hey, absolutely. Jump in. Let's do it together. Let me show you how to do it. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, what are you doing? He's becoming your competition. I'm like, okay, so 2 things. Number one, right now he's not becoming my competition because he still doesn't have what it takes to do what I do. It's not his, okay, yeah, maybe he can do sales. But we're like right now, for example, we're in the middle of this process to get on the government's like no bid projects. Mm. It's like I'm paying this law firm to do all the paperwork and handle all this stuff so that government entity wants their roof done, they jump on this website and see, oh, Redeemed Roofing charges this much per square foot. Okay, send them the job, and we get the job. No bid jobs.
Yeah.
He's not going to do that. He's not going to go through that process. Finding other subcontractors to do work, or doing podcasts and hiring an employee and all that kind of stuff. He's not there. Now, one day he may get there, but I would love to see him there. I would love to see him become Redeemed's biggest competitor, because that means that he is being successful. And that's what I want, because I think God can use me and have me be successful in many different endeavors.
Oh, yeah.
I forget, J. Paul Getty or somebody said, in order to get what you want out of life, you have to help enough other people get what they want out of life.
Yep.
And it's like multi-level marketing without multi-level marketing.
But I mean, if even if you break it down to just like, because I was thinking about this the other day, like of all of the books that I read and the podcasts I listen to, about business development and going further and being better, like if you just break it down to the simple principle of, I need to treat others better than I'm treating myself. So if I can go in and help them to be successful, then I'm not worried about the success of my own, because I know God has that.
Right.
Dude, that's just basic Christianity 101.
Exactly.
And I was thinking through that. I was like, well, why am I worried if he's going to take care of me? I mean, look how he takes care of the flowers of the field, like it says in James. So, like for me, that's a big pusher, almost to the point where like I've been contemplating like just getting off of like the podcasts and the books I've been reading and seeing if there's some kind of a study for like a biblical study on business. I'm sure there is.
Oh, I'm sure they're kind of out there.
So,
yeah. There's a podcast I heard of that talks about Christians in business.
I heard there are a couple schmucks though.
A couple of schmucks that don't know what they're talking about, right? But ultimately, like, what if he did put me out of business? Like, what if he grew his business?
We'd start a consulting
and
business.
Right, exactly.
We already talked about this.
Midwest Concepts puts Redeemed Roofing and Exteriors out of business. Like, I even we put up a billboard out the other side of Fremont, and like I had his like proud partners with Midwest Concepts. What if he did? What if he did put me out of business? Like you said, is God not going to take care of me? I mean, look at what look at what benefit it had to him, and for him to look back on that and say, "Man, I put Redeemed out of business," and he celebrated it with me. Like, like what kind of weirdo is this? Oh, that's a Jesus kind of reader. I was talking yesterday at church about we are the 2 Corinthians says we are the aroma of Christ. Basic in some, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but basically we smell like Jesus to the believers and the non-believers. To people who are longing for hope, who want life, who want something more, who need Jesus and want Jesus. Like, we smell like Jesus, and like, is that Jesus? Oh, great, But then for the people who don't want God, the people want to reject God, we smell like Jesus. Like, is that Jesus?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so for me to celebrate his success at my expense, that smells like Jesus. So wow. Like, what greater testimony, what greater put your money where your mouth is than helping somebody put you out of business? Because here's the reality. What will probably happen is, as he grows, he will still do work for me, and he will still give me a good rate because I helped get him there. And so naturally there will be a loyalty there that he's not gonna try and run me out of business.
Yeah.
And if I give him enough work to build that on the backside, the financial benefit, because I do benefit financially when he does well. He gets better. He gets better crews. He works faster. He works harder. All of that efficiency increases, and as he grows, now he's got enough work between me and the other people he's working for that he can add more crews. Now, if I need, oh shoot, I just sold 5 roofs this week and they're all leaking. Well, hey, let me just push a couple of mine back and I'll come in and take care of them for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm still going to benefit in the long run. But even if he did put me out of business, God's still going to take care of me.
Yeah.
It was God who took care of me last year when Kevin was doing all those roofs for me. If Kevin goes off on his own and leaves me or puts me out of business, Kevin wasn't taking care of me before. God was taking care of me. So that hasn't changed. God's still going to take care of me.
Yeah, it's a matter of how you look at the circumstance.
But
and where
what a
your blessing
testimony.
comes from. Oh,
what
100%.
a testimony. Because there's so much, because there's other companies out there, the one he used to work for in the area, who, like, the crap they did. He's like, I don't want anything to do with those people. I don't want anything to do with them because of the way they treated him. And man, all the money in the world ain't worth someone's coming to Christ. Ain't worth,
Well, and that's where the difference is, I think, in how you do things. Sorry, I gotta adjust. It's like having that Christian mindset and how you go through and you do everything. Whereas this is our mission. This is what we're here to do right now. So
I had somebody
do
once,
it well.
I had somebody once, we were talking about church and we were talking about, leadership in the church and should we hire a pastor? We currently don't have a pastor and we haven't. And there are benefits and drawbacks to that. But one of the guys at church one time said to me, he said, Aaron, we need a guy who wakes up every morning and the first thing on their mind is our church. And I said, I hear you. I hear you. Like there's some wisdom in that. I said, at the same time, what we really need is 100 people who wake up every morning and think about the kingdom. And if we don't have that, then a person who thinks about the church is not going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's not a one or the other. There's somewhat of a both and I think you can lean one side or the other on that equation. It'd be interesting to talk to, maybe get a couple of pastors on as a panel and talk about.
That'd be a good idea.
That'd be, yeah, just, some leaders at a church who don't have a pastor and a couple of pastors. So maybe Chris Weeks would come back or a couple other guys, but it'd be interesting to kind of see what that looks like as far as getting engagement from the body. I think as the church grows and you have a bunch of logistical stuff to worry about, the building and the, making sure there's places for people to be engaged. But when you're looking at a smaller church, 40 people, I think there is something to not having a pastor causing people to need to step up a little more. And I don't think it's all bad.
Well, I think that's one of the things, like, I guess we're going to kind of go into this conversation too.
I don't know where we're going. It's been 6 months. We thought, well, let's get a guest. No, let's just
give it a shot.
Let's just give it a shot. We'll have a guest next time. So if you're sick of us just rambling at this point, just hang in there. We'll get
to something.
We'll get somebody else on who has something actual to talk about. But yeah.
But I think, like, and that's even like some of the things in like bigger churches, there's so few people actually doing anything because like, oh, well, we got people for that. I don't need to do that. And I don't, like, we've actually been in the middle of like finding a different church because not that the opportunity isn't there to be involved. It's just, it's so far away from where we live.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to be a part of the community. And so we've been looking, and I think we've found a church that's a lot closer. It's going to be way easier to be involved just because of proximity. And
right.
For small groups and men's ministry and for the kids ministries
Absolutely.
and stuff like that. So it's, it's kind of crazy.
even the simple stuff of like, oh, we're sick this week. Well, nobody's going to drive, 45 minutes to drop off a pot of soup for you when you're sick. Right.
Yeah.
You need to be in a situation where, you're on the way. Right. where you can drop off a pot of soup, or they can drop off a pot of soup, or they can swing over last minute and sit around a bonfire and roast marshmallows, or, a small group that finishes at 8:00 at night doesn't put your kids in bed at 9:30 on a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
We did that. We did half hour to church for a while, and it just, you just don't. You don't. So people, well, goodness, when we went to Kansas City Baptist,
That was a drive, man.
That was a haul. Now, at that particular time, I needed the mentorship from Chris, and that was awesome. But as soon as that was done, it was like, no, we got to go. We gotta be close to home. We've got, we got to be a part of a community. But like you said, when we got staff to do it, right? And that goes back to, that's okay if you have a guy like Justin who is every morning wakes up and has the kingdom in mind. Okay, he doesn't maybe necessarily have his church in mind, but he has the church in mind. And that's what's needed more than the other. And it's almost like if we look at the role of pastor, the role of leader in the church as a somebody to run that particular that organization, it's almost like that needs to be a job, not a ministry.
Yeah.
Because the ministry is that pastor, and I know Chris does it. He's out at the coffee shop and somebody wants to talk to him. It's not, like it's his practice of his faith is separate from his job, but the same. We talked about that with him early on in the podcast. It's both and it's a little more married. Like there is definitely I don't know. There should be no more separation between your and my job and our faith than there is for Chris.
100%. Oh, I would absolutely agree with that. Because our faith is, the foundation, the cornerstone of everything that we do. Should be.
It should be, right. And I think we just get so distracted.
That's easy to do.
It's so, it is, we just, hey, we got, if we spend another 2 hours here, we got another couple of bucks. Okay, great. Well, but do you have to?
Yeah.
Okay, now maybe it is that God does want you to because he's got some wells that need to be drilled in Africa or whatever, okay? And you need to provide those dollars because ministry costs money, right? Food doesn't grow itself, right? And so there's that part of it. But if you're, if you don't have, I guess your why behind it is the important part, your heart behind it of, why do I do this every day? Why do I exhaust so much energy? What is, like, why am I going through all these motions? Why am I exhausted? Why am I putting up the stress of subcontractors? Like, what is the purpose of that? Well, it's, if my putting up with stress of subcontractors provides me opportunity to preach Christ to those subcontractors, then it's 100% worth it. But if my focus is to make money, well, then that stress becomes less and less and less worth it.
Yeah.
Because if I break a relationship with a subcontractor, I limit my ability to speak into his life. But at the same time, I don't need to go under just for the sake of speaking into his life. So it has to be balanced.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just my
I like it.
13
Your
cents.
little 13-minute monologue. I liked it.
You think that was bad? Listen to a sermon every once in a while. I said yesterday to the church, I said, we came to a spot, we're in the book of Acts. And so I preached 2 sermons in the book of Acts, heavily, preaching the gospel. I mean, because that's pretty much what's going on in the beginning of Acts. And so it's like, you can't avoid it. And so, but yesterday we were talking about Acts 8, and it says that Philip went down to Samaria and preached the gospel. And I said, you guys are sick of hearing me talk about that, so we're going to move on. You've already wasted an hour and a half of your life listening to me talk about preaching. I'll give you something else today.
That is funny.
But yeah. You're tired, dude.
I am. I've been up since 1:30. I had like this horrible nightmare dream.
Are we doing dream interpretations on a Christian business podcast now?
No. No,
You don't. Oh, a dream
just
you don't
kept
want
me
to
up.
share, huh?
no, it's fine. I just woke up and like had to tell people that we weren't going to be in business anymore, and I was like freaking out, and I was like, "What is going on?" But
What would happen?
what would happen? I don't know what would happen. I mean, we'd all continue living, and we'd all find different things to do, because God has a plan in all of it. But it's so scary to think about.
Somebody emailed me this weekend and said, "Hey, do you want to sell your business?" This was after my frustration with some subcontractors.
You're like, absolutely.
I was like, "Sign me up." $500? Sure. Yep. Take
it's
it.
yours.
It's yours.
I don't want it anymore.
But we were just, Forrest and I were just talking about it on the way here. Just like, what does that even look like? Like, what does that do to, like, my business runs the way it runs because I have the focus that I have, and is somebody else going to have that focus? Well, wait a minute. There are Christian employees all over the world that don't get to set the tone of their business, but can still minister to people around them.
Yep.
So what if I just backed off into sales? And all I did was sales, and I didn't worry about government contracts, and I didn't worry about fighting over subs, and I didn't worry about any of that stuff. I just go meet with customers, set the prices, sell the job, and hand it to somebody and move on. Customer service goes to somebody else, follow up, all that kind of stuff. What does that look like?
Yeah, but I know you well enough.
What? Okay, all right, let's go. All right, here's the meat, folks. We found it. We found it, folks. Welcome to overdeemed business consulting here.
So there is, because I mean, that thought goes through my head too, of like, man, if all I had to do was just sell and hand off all the customer service, all of the project scheduling, all of the product ordering, all of someone dealing with all the subs.
Turn off my phone at the end of the day.
Well, that'd be weird.
Oh.
But
I could go to just a flip phone.
I could like get rid of my phone, just rely, hey, call my wife. I don't want to talk. So, and I think this is a testament to like having that entrepreneurial spirit that God put in you, as he did me, where it's like, if I was like in a sales position, I am so concerned about the outcome for the client that I'm like, all right, so I'm watching all the processes and say, okay, you know what? We could really improve right here. Hey, if we have, the customer service people, and if they could just kind of like, follow up a little bit quicker, and maybe if they said something like this instead of being so cold, like, then it could be better. Because everything drives that, like that's like my thing. Like, I'm always trying to look through the lens of the client. Like, I want them, at the end of the day, I really want them to have an amazing product. Like, they get done and it's just like, wow, this turned out really good. But ultimately, I want them to see Jesus in all of it.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how can I better fine tune things so that they see Jesus in that, but at the same time, get something done very, very well, or be communicated with well. Like, communication is always our biggest thing. It probably will be till the end of time. So
it absolutely let me just put this out there. Every contractor on the planet struggles with communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna bunny trail for a second, just because Forrest and I've been talking about this. The part of the problem that I have, and I don't know if this is the case with other contractors, part of the problem is that whole I don't have control, and I don't want to give you information that I don't have. I don't want to talk to you before I have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you call me with a question on Monday and I don't answer my phone and you leave me a message, I'm going to start making phone calls to find your answer.
Before I call you back.
Well, I might not get an answer till Thursday. And what happens is I'm waiting for the answer. And really what I need to do is just pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm waiting for an answer. I don't have control of this situation right now.
Yep.
Well, I can't do that. Tell somebody I don't have control over the situation. But that's the truth. Like, that's where my struggle comes in, is I don't want to communicate to you until I have an answer. And sometimes the answer is one you're not going to like.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we were talking about 2 weeks. It's been 2.5. Are you coming? Well, the reality is I'm not going to be there for another week and a half.
Yeah.
And I don't want to tell you that.
But I think some of that too is like, So like that's the stuff that I struggle with, and because that's the things I hear, like, oh, you contractors, I get a bill at the end of the thing that's 20% higher. Well, first of all, that's illegal. Second of all, like there should be communication in front of that, and like that's why I have this amazing staff out here that helps me with all that stuff for that communication piece of like, hey, we're not going to be out there for. I know we told you 2 weeks, but it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks before we're out there. Just do X, Y, Z on project. We need to make sure these are taken care of. So when we're at your project, we're at your project. We're not leaving. But also too, to that point, like it's almost to the point now with bringing Bill on that my job is basically removing all the bottlenecks. How does this go smoother? All right, let's pull that one away. How's this go smoother?
I think that's where I want to be.
Pull this way.
I'm just not there yet.
Yeah. And like in the field training the guys, oh dude, I love it. Love it. And you know me, I hated it. I hated it with a passion before. But now it's something like I grow into. It's like, well, I've got 22 years of experience. Like, let's put it to use. Let's teach people.
Right.
So, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, going back to entrepreneurial, the entrepreneurial mindset that wouldn't be there. You wouldn't have exercise for that if somebody else owned your business and you worked for them.
Correct. Unless you were given the freedom to make decisions, and which is you tend to step on toes and stuff like that when you do that.
Right. But what if
I would have a very hard time going and maybe I say this and it's like I don't want to say it's like God is like, oh, you're gonna struggle with this? Cool, let's put you in it.
Right. Like, Forrest was just talking about that. He made a comment about something, and it was kind of a negative comment, and then like 2 days later, the person came to him and was like, "Hey, would you?" And he was like, "Crap."
Dang it all.
So then we're driving by somewhere else, and he starts to make a comment about it, and he goes, "Wait a minute, I'm not saying anything."
I know I would have a very hard time working for somebody else under someone else's schedules. Now, okay, yeah, I work 40, 50 hours a week, but I choose to do that.
Right. But I think my thing is always, because I get bored. We get bored, right? We want to do something else, right?
Yeah.
So my thing is, okay, I got this up, got it running, sweet, I can do it. Let's move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, consulting, right? Oh, let me back off, just do sales for this company, and then we'll go do consulting. I'll do startup consulting, and you do long-term consulting or whatever, but, or go preach or go whatever. But, what do I do about the Kevins and the Mikes and the guys that I've built these relationships with that we have kind of and yeah, maybe it's burned me a lot in the past, but it has paid off now. These looser relationships, looser contracts that have burned me. But Kevin, like, my goodness, like most jobs, we just have a conversation about it and it gets done. It's just understood and it's good and it's, we're not going to ruin the relationship over $1,000. We're just not going to. Just be like, you know what? Okay, that's fine. Let's go to the next one. And that openness of relationship has benefited both of us. That openness of I know right down to the bottom of what his guys are making. And he knows what I make on every job. He knows. It's just this open. The books are open. It's all.
It's a transparency.
It's an incredible amount of transparency that if I sold the company, it ain't going to happen.
No.
It ain't going to happen. Nobody else is going to operate that way. But that's why Kevin and I have been successful, is because of that part of our relationship. That's why Mike and I are so successful, is because of that part of the relationship. And that's not going to be there for someone else. So then it comes down to a point of what... then do I just need to hire a person to pick up the stuff that I suck at? Well, Forrest picked up a lot of it.
Thank God.
Shut up, Forrest. You're over there laughing. For real. Don't encourage him, Forrest. Don't encourage him. But what that does is, see, and this is, spouse coming on the same page. Like, I think there's a difference in where we want to be of the amount of dollars we want to make and the amount of stress and work and effort we want to have into something. Because shoot, I could drop down to, 0.5% off the business and hire a bunch of other people to do everything for me. But should I?
Yeah.
Just because I don't like doing something, should I not do it? Right?
I don't know.
Exactly.
What are you going to do with that extra time you have?
Exactly. Well, whatever else, preach, go consult, whatever. My favorite times are meeting with guys and systems and can this go faster? Can this go better? What if we change this? I drove some people crazy here at Northwoods when I was here.
You did a really good job with that.
How can we do this better? How can we? But that's just how we're wired. The problem with that is there were two of us.
I just kind of let you go. I'll let them answer that question for you.
But those, I guess, ultimately the question is this, in selling the business to someone else and then just working for that other person. Obviously, there are people in that situation all over the place that are working for somebody else, and they're thriving in ministry. God is moving in huge ways through them in that company out, that's not their own. The question is that what Aaron is called to? Mm-hmm. Or is Aaron called to direct the ship and be in the stuff he's in and minister to people through that? Mm-hmm. And that's a really hard question to answer.
And I always wonder too, it's like, if my end all be all is to proclaim the gospel, does it really matter at all
where
or how or what I'm doing?
Right.
Does it? Or is this like, there's a question to ask myself when I'm driving. I'm like, is this like where I find my identity in owning businesses and growing businesses and knowing what I know?
That's what bothers me.
And I'm like, well, if you took it away, what would I do?
Right.
I mean, would it be something like, no, you're going to proclaim the gospel for me, and you're being miserable doing it, because he didn't promise a happy life.
No,
he didn't, or a super successful life, right, or anything like that. He actually promised there was going to be trials. He promised
the opposite, right?
Yeah. So then, take a look at like what we're doing and stuff like that, and like minor things like dealing with subs, dealing with like employees, and losing money, and losing clients or anything like that, like
bad reputation.
And it's like, does it really matter? I mean, it matters to a point, but
right,
is that?
But does it? At the end of the day, is it going to matter 100 years from now? The old 100-year test. Is it going to matter 100 years from now?
Yeah.
And but we have to operate within our gifting. I think that God has gifted us. I said this yesterday. He gifted us with talents, gifts, and abilities for the furthering of His kingdom. And what avenue is that best done on? And I start to get worried when I look at like the building we just got, right? Like, I have started to see that as like this, almost like this status symbol, and it worries me a little bit. Like I own and operate a business that now has a physical location. Like and I think that's a big milestone for a roofing company. Most guys are operating out of their house. A lot of contractors are operating out of their house, but now I have real estate on the main drag with my sign on the side of the road, and people. I'm in the rental place this morning. He's like, how's it going on that building? Like, people know that that's Aaron's building, and it's like, chest puffs out a little bit, and so I'm like, wait a minute,
hold on a second.
What's going? Now, does that mean that I wasn't supposed to have it? Well, no, by no means.
Just need to check yourself.
But I need to check myself before I wreck myself, because that can lead to decisions that are not so good of decisions. So then when I look at selling the business and I go, speaking of which, those of you who this is a the selling the business conversation is nowhere near being even close to serious. like just so you call my wife and be like, sounds like Aaron's considering selling but no, he's not.
She actually knows nothing about this conversation.
I have not even
Sorry,
like
Melissa.
so no.
Might want to make a phone call right now.
Just make a phone call when I hang up. So but I think that, ultimately, when those decisions pop up, it's like, hey, wait a minute, this might be worth thinking about for just a second, because one of the reasons why I'm resistant to it is because it's my business.
Mm-hmm.
I am Aaron. Oh, he's the owner of Redeemed Roofing and Exteriors. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not why God gave it to me.
No.
It's 100% the opposite of the reason why God gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's his business. But I think that's why I'm talking about it right now, is because my initial gut instinct was like, heck no, I'm not selling you my business.
Yeah.
And now I'm having a heart check going, wait a minute. It's not my business.
It's not my business.
It's his. And he may want me to sell it, and he may not. But there's a good heart check there. Yeah, you business owner out there. If I offered right now to buy your business for a very fair, very good price, what's your gut reaction?
Yes.
Why?
I can go do something else.
Right. But for you then, that question turns into, why would you want to do something else when God has dropped this in your lap? When this is where God has you.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't. I'm just saying that's the question that needs to be asked. And if your gut reaction is, heck no, I'm not selling my business, why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I don't want to do anything else. Well, why not? If God is presenting you with this opportunity, is it
Yeah, you can look at it from both ways, but it's the check of the heart to see.
Exactly.
Oof.
Exactly. Why don't I want to sell my business? Now, just because it's a heart issue in the reason why I say no does not mean, oh, well, I should.
Well, I think some of it, too, is like, would I be willing to? And that's the big thing. Like, would I be willing
to sell the business?
Because I've even been asked that, like, where we live in our house. Like, would I be willing to move? Absolutely. Well, why? Oh, Serena's not like that answer. She goes, what do you mean you don't want to live here anymore? I was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm not so attached to it that I feel like I have to stay here. Like, I love where I live and where my kids can grow up.
Right.
But if God's calling us somewhere else, let's go.
That is one of the least things that would, affect your decision.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah. So, yeah, would I sell the business?
Ooh, the hesitation.
I don't know that I'm ready for that answer yet.
I would.
And I think that's worth... I want to say, yes, I would. The question is, and I would. I'd sign the dotted line and we'd go through it. But would I like it? Would I be okay with it?
But are you... Okay. But again, is that a you thing?
Right. That's my point. Like, yes, if God tells me to do something, I'll do it. But am I going to do it out of obligation, or am I going to do it with joy in my heart that is glad to be used somewhere else in God's service?
You're not always necessarily going to have joy and gladness in your heart when you're asked to go do something. Some people kind of go kicking and screaming and get there and go, oh, wow, God, you were right.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The goal would be to serve out of a desire to serve and not out of obligation or compulsion. That when God says, hey,
that's fair,
I need you to go over here. It's the Jonah concept, right? No, I'm not going over there. Or when he spits him out on the beach and he preaches to Nineveh, and Nineveh turns, and then he gets all ticked off and has a little hissy fit. Has his hissy fit underneath that vine or whatever, and
it withers.
Yeah, I don't want to be there. But at this point, I might be. Now, does that mean I shouldn't? Well, absolutely not. But I would like to be in a place where I'm not having a hissy fit under the vine.
That's fair.
So that's all I got to say about that.
Sweet.
What time is it? How we doing?
11:30.
Okay. My phone's getting lit up. And
Mine
yours is too.
Yep. I got a meeting in 10 minutes. So.
Okay.
But I think it was good. I mean, it's
good?
definitely, we didn't have like a topic like
We
to
didn't.
really
How
go
are we
off
going to
of.
title this episode?
Mass chaos
the
or something
Seinfeld-
like that.
The Seinfeld episode, a show about nothing.
A show about nothing. We could call it a show about nothing.
should we sell the business? No, a show about nothing. I think we're gonna go with a show about nothing. But
It's back in the groove. We're really sorry, but
yeah, we're really sorry. Please forgive us. But if there's people that you think would be good for us to talk to on the podcast,
yeah, I have Derek.
Definitely.
Derek
Sweet.
will be ready.
Line them up next week. Let's do it. So we will try.
Hey, we could probably do it at my parents' house.
Oh, is he painting there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Or we'll just swing over to my house. It's fine.
There you go.
We might have to just like.
Your great house that you love, that you don't want to leave. I mean,
No, that's not me.
Leave,
I would leave.
Want to leave.
I would leave. I like adventure.
That's right. But yeah, check out I think we got a Facebook page. Do we have a Facebook page? We have a Facebook page. Check out our Facebook page. Like, share it. I don't know what all the buttons are on Facebook. And like everybody's got a different button. Follow, like, subscribe, share. I don't do whatever you push all the buttons. Push all the buttons on our Facebook page.
Share us.
And share us and review us. And I think reviews on the like podcast site actually are pretty heavy, aren't they?
Depends on which one it's on.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and leave a review for us and tell your friends. And
Bunch of losers.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to say. They don't even know what they're talking about.
know what you're talking about.
It's fair. This episode was.
This was interesting.
Show about nothing.
This is a show about nothing. This is a show about nothing. But hey, we're back in the saddle, right? Okay?
Hey,
Quit whining.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you
Baby
got to start
steps.
somewhere. The baby steps. The beggars can't be choosers. But yeah, thanks for listening to A Christian Business Podcast. We'll get back going.
Yeah.
Peace out.
See ya.